Hi, my name is Justin with Analog Rails, and in this video I'm going to be demonstrating running the entire place and route flow on this switch cap circuit. We have analog switches, an amplifier, and a comparator here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the schematic toolbar and choose Push Down Edit and select my amplifier. I haven't made any changes, so I'm not going to save anything. So I've now pushed down into the amplifier circuit. You can see the MOSFETs here, cross-probing. So I'm going to run the floor planner, which is the F button here on the layout toolbar. And this is the settings GUI, and here you can see we have floor planner solution set to 9. So I'm going to go ahead and go with 9, and you can see here in the processes area that multiple solutions are being generated. And then we get to see the results. So as you can see, we have multiple different flavors of potential layouts here. And that's what the floor planner does. It's giving you a very fast preview of what the final layout placement will look like depending on which solution you choose. The first few solutions are special. The very first one is non-aggressive. It doesn't do any matching of devices, and it doesn't do any size changes or anything like that. The second one does do matching, but doesn't do any size changes. So you can see there it's kind of jagged. And then 3 and above do both matching and folding and size changes to make things more pleasant. And I think I like solution number 6. So I'm going to choose solution number 6, and I'm going to run the placer on that solution. And to do so, I'm going to click the P button here in the processes area. We get our settings GUI again. We're going to go with the defaults. This is to choose the name of your sandbox library. Sandboxing is what we do to prevent the original design from being changed. So we copy the design into a new library, which I'm going to call amp_PNR. And I haven't made any changes, so I don't need to save. As you can see, the placer is now operating. You can see matches being made in the schematic while it runs. And you can see the differential P cells, or DPCs, appearing here in the layout. Now it's nearly done, only 3 more structures to go. And there we have the finished placed layout. Now the placer will match MOSFETs into DPCs. It will also match caps and resistors. So let me show you the common centroid. Here you can see that the devices are laid out in an interdigitized pattern. The placer also inserts dummies and caps into the schematic, which were created when the DPCs were created. So if I highlight these here, you can see that all the dummies will highlight in the layout. And then if I go into the HED, I can highlight these here as well. And you can see that they cross-probe like so. C parasitic, dummies here. So the HED, or hierarchical editor, cross-probes with the schematic, and the layout cross-probes with the schematic, so everything is interoperable in our tool. Now I'm going to collapse all in the HED, which collapses all the trees. And I'm going to choose from my matching menu, View Matched Pairs. And what this does is it will highlight all of the matched pairs in the schematic, and as you can see in the hierarchical editor, it's showing us the devices that are selected and cross-probing them. If I switch over to the layout, you can see the same thing is happening here. The devices are being cross-probed. I'll zoom in on the schematic here so we can see more detail. And then once this is complete, and now it is, I'm going to go ahead and run the routers, the differential and single-ended routers. Those are here on the layout toolbar, D and R. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the differential router. Now that that's going, I'm going to pause the video and come back as soon as it is complete. Alright, the routing has completed fully. So now we have routes in the layout. You can see we have differential routes here. So what I'm going to do is go to my matching menu again and choose View Matched Nets. And as you can see, it is cycling through each matched pair of nets, cross-probing them with the layout. And you can see the routes that were done. And now I'm going to go to the Common toolbar and click on the Net button. And each time you click the Net button, it toggles through different modes. And I'm going to the capacitance mode, where the capacitance values are shown in the schematic. Here you can see the back annotated capacitance here on a tooltip on a wire. We preserve the coupling if total line-to-line capacitance is above a user setting threshold. So there you go. We have now completed our lower level place and route. So now I'm going to save this design so that I have access to it later. I'm going to call this AMPA1P and RJ. So there we go. Now I'm going to pop back edit, choose to save. And now we've popped back up to our top level design. The tool has detected that we made a change to our lower level block. And if I come to my layout toolbar and choose change layout hierarchy, depth, I can choose all levels down, and you can see that here we have our lower level block place and route layout in a locked block together in the top level layout. So the hierarchy is preserved. Now what I'm going to do is actually smash that hierarchy. I have a setting here in the amplifier properties called hierarchy. It's currently set to B for block or locked block. If I pull this down and choose smash and click OK, and now what's going to happen is that it's going to smash the lower level block in place in the top level layout. So we're flattening the hierarchy. You can see that the DPCs are now being generated in the layout. And I'm going to go ahead and pause the video while this completes and then come back when it's done. And we're back. As you can see, the block has now been smashed. I can now take these DPCs and move them independently of each other. Any of the devices can now be moved independently. The device is still cross-probe, so if I descend down the hierarchy of our amplifier here and zoom in, you can see that I can still cross-probe with the devices and the nets in the layout. So in the schematic, the hierarchy has still been preserved, even though we've flattened things in the layout. Alright, so now I'm going to set my amplifier back to a locked block. There we are. And now I'm going to go to the HED. And here we have the lock column. This is the current status of the layout. And the placer lock column, which is what the layout will be like after the placer has been run. So as you can see, our amplifier and comparator are both shown here. The comparator is smashed now and set to be smashed after the placer is run. The amplifier is set to block now and will remain block after the placer has been run. So I'm going to leave those settings as is and run the floor planner. We have our 9 solutions. I'm going to go ahead and choose solution number 9 and press the P button. Our design has been sandboxed. You can see the placer matching capacitors right now in the schematic. And there's a couple more matches. Here's the final capacitor match. Now we have the completed layout. There's our blocked amplifier, comparator, switches, and caps. So now I'm going to go ahead and run the routers. And then I'm going to pause the video and come back when they are done. Okay, the routers are now complete. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on this area here to show a little bit of routing detail. These are the differential routes here. And then I'm going to go to the hierarchical editor. Set the amplifier to S for smashed. I'm going to do a pre to remove my routes. run the floor planner. So this time when we do the placement, we're going to come back with a flattened layout rather than preserving the layout hierarchy. When the amplifier is smashed, it provides more options to the floor planner and placer in terms of adjusting the layout to achieve different shapes, which I will demonstrate in just a moment. 2 solutions to go. So here's solution number 9, number 8, number 7. As you can see, it has a nice variety in shape. And then we start getting down to the less aggressive floor planner options until we hit the bottom. So I think I like solution number 6. Looks pretty nice. So I'm going to go ahead and run with that one. And we're going to get a new placement. Alright, the placement has completed, as you can see. The amplifier is completely flat in the layout here, and if I descend down the amplifier and cross probe, you'll be able to see that I can cross probe with all the devices independently. Just zoom in a bit here. And there you can see cross-probing in the layout and the schematic. So I will ascend the hierarchy again and go ahead and run the routers. And then I'm going to pause the video and come back when the routers are completed. And we're back. The routers have both completed. And then I will descend the hierarchy and select some cross-probe some nets here to show the routing in the layout. There you can see the pairs of nets. So that's been our demonstration of the analog place and route flow. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.